Breakfast with Bob and Paul.
Pancho Man, thank you so much. Great to be back here in beautiful Kona. Again, Breakfast with Bob and Paul on triathlete.com. Sponsored. Huddle, we have a sponsor.
Sponsored?
I know. Woo. Coming up. We have an audience. Do we have an audience? Yeah. Look at that.
Applause. Wow.
Sponsored by Monster iSport, the athlete's headphone. We love that.
We do love that.
And our first guest, the 2010 Ironman World Champion, back to get her crown, which she loaned out because she's a very giving and caring person. Mirinda Carfrae joins us. Mirinda, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on the show again.
Oh, we love having you on the show. So, back with Siri Lindley.
Yes.
What led to you coming back with Siri?
You know, I took, a year and a half away from Siri and Siri's group, and I just really wanted to go out and talk to some different coaches, get a couple of different approaches, and just kind of do it on my own a little bit for a little while. And it worked okay. I don't regret what I did, but the underlying fact was that Siri and I have a magic relationship.
It's like 7 years, right?
Well, 7 years. We have a history. And for me, I think it comes down to having that team to support you. I think a lot of triathletes can do it on their own and they don't need that inner circle. But coming from a basketball background and then going from there to Siri and having that great support throughout the start of my triathlon career and certainly through my Ironman years,
right.
Really was important to me. And going back to her has been absolutely seamless. You'd think that going back to a coach, might be a little hard, but to be honest, it felt just like where we left off, and it's been fantastic ever since.
I love it.
How has the fact that Siri's working with a lot of your competitors been? Has that affected you? I mean, you talk about team, or you consider them your teammates. Obviously, they're not going to be your teammates on race day.
Yeah, absolutely. Every man for himself on race day. But they are teammates. Most of the girls, to be honest, I barely see in training. I'll see them at the swimming pool and sometimes out on a long ride, but especially leading into Kona, Siri does a very good job of keeping us all separated. We are very competitive, and I think it's important at times to make sure, if someone's doing an easy ride, they go and do an easy ride by themselves rather than trying to, egos get involved, and I think it's much better just to separate the athletes out. I was working with Siri when she was coaching a couple of other athletes. She was coaching Leanda before I left, and a couple other girls too. So it's not new territory for me. I think the more the better. Siri's super happy. We have a very positive environment. Girls are obviously racing well.
Right.
5 girls have made it here to Kona, so I think it's pretty exciting.
When you look at last year's race and look at your history here, first time out in 09, you're second, you win the next year, second the next time, and then last year you were basically running through the entire field and you were about to catch Leanda, and we're like, okay, here comes Rinny. She's going to ride right by Leanda, go get Caroline, and win the race. And then Leanda gets away, and she ends up catching Caroline. Mm-hmm. When you look back at the race afterwards, did you feel like maybe nutritionally you were off, or you just go too hard, too fast?
I think I made a couple of mistakes last year. You're right. My first 3 years here in Kona were kind of dream runs. I mean, not kind of, absolutely.
Yeah.
Couldn't have dreamt a better script. Right. Second, my first time winning that 2010 world title, and then second again to the freak of the sport,
exactly.
Chrissy Wellington. And then last year, I really wanted, I copped a lot of flack for my bike, and everybody was telling me, you should never listen to the voices, but people love to tell you what you can do better. Right. And I knew in myself that in order to continue to improve my time here in Kona, I needed to ride a lot faster.
Exactly.
And I rode pretty fast hard on the bike that day, but what actually happened was I lost a nutrition bottle early, which can happen. You need a plan B. I didn't have a plan B, but I was pretty confident that I was able to get the calories that I needed in out in the course. But last year, the difference between last year and the years before was that there was a fair bit of wind out there on the course last year.
Yeah.
And I always drink my fluids as in water to feel. And when it's windy like that, it just dries you out. You don't really notice. Yeah. You're sweating, and it just dries off straight away. So I really just didn't drink enough water, and I got to halfway on that marathon, just about to catch Leanda, and I'm like, all right, here, I'm going to make my next pass and continue on up the road after Carolyn. In my mind, that's how it was going to happen. And the body just wasn't willing. When your mind's telling you to do something and your body's just saying, okay, no, you're done.
Was that the first time that happened here?
Yeah, that was the first time that had happened. So to come away knowing that I finished the race and went into medical, and I'd lost 10 pounds.
Did you really?
Yeah. So
it's not like you got 10 pounds to lose.
that's a lot for a little person.
Yeah.
So yeah, like sitting down and evaluating what went wrong, I take a lot of confidence from getting third and still running a 3:05 marathon, knowing that the last at least 10 miles I was basically running on complete
fumes.
Yeah.
I mean, having what for you is a bad day and still getting third is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you line up every year and you're like, geez, I'd take a podium any day. But then, to have that happen last year and still finish third. I mean, the two girls behind me were only a minute or 2 minutes behind the next two girls. So they were definitely breathing down my neck. But I take a lot of confidence that, if I will get my nutrition right this year, and it will set me up for a much better day.
If there's one thing we noticed this year at 70.3 Worlds, the big missing athlete was you. What was behind that decision? Because you have gone to that race and done really well here. You chose another 70.3. Yeah, you won. Pretty good. What was the reasoning behind that decision? Is it a case of you don't want to necessarily face your toughest competition twice within 4 weeks, because there's a lot of energy and a lot of associated media, et cetera, around that, so you'd want to save that just for Hawaii, or what was the reasoning?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I went to Vegas last year and raced, and in the back of my mind I was always thinking this race isn't worth it to me if it takes even 1% away from Kona.
Right.
Kona for me is what I set my whole year around, and you can't go into a world championship event with that mindset. Also, with the heat, I mean, they didn't get the heat that they typically get there this year, but that race, I think, if you mess up, it can hurt, it can sting. Plus, all the media and the circus that goes around a world championship. I just thought for me it might be better to just go and do another half Ironman, a hard half Ironman up in Muskoka, and get that hard workout, hard hit out in without all the, the frills.
Yeah.
So go out, get a hard race in, and then go back home and not have to deal with any of the extras that come along with a world title.
When I look back in 2010, a month before the race here where you won, you went like 4:28 in Muskoka, right? This year you went 4:29 in Muskoka, which I feel you're probably looking at going, okay, I'm right where I need to be, because that's always been a great barometer for Crowe, that race a month out. Say you feeling the same way? Yeah,
I mean, I think 5 weeks out or 4 weeks out, it used to be 4 weeks before Kona, now 5 weeks.
Yeah.
That's always a very good indication of your fitness. Crowe always said he sometimes had his best race of the year in Muskoka.
Right.
And I felt like I had a really solid day out there, and you kind of walk away from that with a little bit of confidence, knowing that you're on track and ready to go.
The race this year, and I think to some degree last year as well, without Chrissy in it, a lot of people said this is a wide open women's race, and I sort of feel that to some degree this year. There are 4 or 5 women who I think a lot of people are talking about: Carolyn Steffen, Rachel Joyce, obviously Leanda, and yourself. Do you feel like it is indeed a wide open field to you without that Chrissy element, or do you feel there's sort of somebody who maybe you're looking at as that woman who everyone's talking about? So far, I think between Bob and I, we've heard Carolyn Steffen's name mentioned the most.
Rachel.
Yeah, and Rachel. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that there's any one woman this year. You look throughout the year of results, Carolyn's been posting some amazing results again. Rachel Joyce has really flown under the radar. She had a great performance in Texas, but she's had a super light year. I mean, she has had a couple of injury worries, but she looks fit. I've seen her riding around Boulder, and she's a friend of mine as well, so I know she's in great shape. But there's other athletes. Meredith Kessler, for the first time, she's actually coming to Kona with fresh legs instead of 17 Ironman under the belt before.
Yeah, could help.
I mean, the list is endless. Every time, I start thinking about it, I'm like, well, there's this girl too who could actually really race well. So at the end of the day, you know what it's like. You've got to go out there and hopefully, race to your potential. And I think if I do that, I'll be somewhere in the front in the mix.
Speaking of your potential, run split. I think, everyone likes to talk about that because you're such a phenomenal runner. What do you feel like you're capable of? And obviously, I know exactly what you just said. You're just going to get what you get on race day. But deep inside, I mean, 250?
I've got a number that I don't.
There's nobody
like
watching right now.
Don't worry about it.
Nobody
it's just
here.
between
You
us.
guys know. It's just
No,
the two of us.
these guys don't care.
Yeah. I mean, it's faster than the 252 I ran.
5209. Yeah,
Okay,
5209.
that's fair
Okay, so
enough.
it's underneath that.
Underneath that, I
Yeah.
mean, again, you know, if conditions play out well on race day, then and it's within reach, I'm absolutely going to be, well, regardless, I'll be out there running my ass off. But if the conditions are good, if it's not too hot on the run, then, you know, who knows?
Sub 250.
I think
there.
sub 250
I
is
think
absolutely
sub 250
there.
there. So, the men's side, you happen to know one of the guys pretty closely. This guy, Tim O'Donnell. How fit is he, and how ready is he?
Oh, he's going all right. No, he's in great shape. He had a really good year. He's confident. I think not many people know, but last year he came into this race injured. He tore his MCL.
Did he really?
Yeah, slight tear. He didn't run really 3 weeks leading into this race. So this year, no hiccups. He's the first year he came here, he was sick, so he didn't finish. The second year he was injured. And still was, second American, 8th overall. So I mean, I think he's ready to have a good one. I don't want to jinx him, but I think he's in fantastic shape. He's done the race a couple of times now. He knows what to expect out there. He knows the dynamics of the race. He's a smart racer. So yeah, I mean, it'll just be a matter of who has it on the day.
Is that tough to have your spouse and you racing at the very top level? I mean, energetically, there's a certain amount of energy that's available in any relationship, let alone available to compete at the highest level at an event like the Hawaii Ironman. How do you guys play that race week? Do you guys plan ahead and just say, listen, here's my schedule, there's your schedule. Yeah, nice knowing you. See you on
That's
Sunday.
absolutely the way you have to do it. It's when your partner's also going through the same things as you. You want to be there for them. You want to be there everything that they need race week, but I can't be that. And he can't be that for me during this week. So we almost have to just be roommates. You do your thing, I'll do my thing. And, we're engaged after the race. We're back together after the race. But, I mean, it's hard. That's mentally what we've had to do. In the last few years, I've found it hard because I almost want him to succeed more than I want myself to succeed because I've already won this race, so I really want to see him race well, but that's not the mindset that you can take into a world championship.
Sure.
So I kind of have to block him out and go about my business.
Yeah, forget about him.
Yeah.
Well, once you've won this race, and some people look at it that once I've won it, I need to win it again. I need to win it a third time. But I've always looked at it, it's almost like you're playing with house money. Once you've won it, you've won it's a pinnacle of the sport. You won the 2010 Ironman World Championship. It'd be great to win it again, but you've done. Does that give you confidence? Does it give you a feeling that, hey, whatever happens, happens? Less pressure because of that?
I mean, there's less and there's more. There's less in that. Yeah, you're right. You've won the race.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
great people who've never done it.
29 of the girls out there, and 30 of the girls out there have never won.
Right.
And so you're one of two girls who've actually won this race. Actually, no, I tell Natasha as well.
Natasha's yeah, she's only won 6.
She's pretty good.
She's
okay.
She's all right. But yeah, knowing that I have already achieved this massive dream, it's nice to have that in the back of your mind. But again, I think when you win a race like this, you kind of get greedy. You want another one. Of
course you do.
And that's all you think of all year. I want to feel that feeling again. I want to see if I can go faster. I want to be running down a Lee Drive with my country's flag on my shoulders, and you want to do it more than just for yourself. You want to do it for your support staff and your partner and your family who have supported you all year and throughout your career.
So you're 3 years past that win, and you've had the opportunity now to have the experience and the perspective of those other races in between, and you look at Leanda this past year. Is there any take you have on that? Because obviously when you look at the media and everyone who's watching her race, you're thinking, you know what? Maybe she's sort of having a bit of a vacation tour this year, not as hungry as she was last year. And I think that's the perception out there. But of course, if you know Leanda, you may know that's a little bit different. Results during the year don't necessarily add up to a good or bad Kona. Kona's a different deal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I haven't had the greatest year either. And I like to think that hopefully can get it together on the weekend. Leanda, last year I had a very quiet start to the year. I mean, I remember training with her in March and April, and I was pretty fit, and she was hopeless.
Ouch.
No disrespect.
Why don't you say what you feel?
No disrespect, but she was hopeless.
She was hopeless.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at her going, "What are you doing?" Like, but she was very smart. She started out very slow in the beginning of the year, and then she just got better and better. And 2 world titles at the end of the year. You know, that's a dream season for any athlete. But then going into this year, I think she celebrated that world championship, and as you do, and being defending champ coming into a world champs is super hard, you know, still having to validate, do that Ironman, and then all the media attention that goes along with it, all the obligations. I mean, you take every opportunity that you're given when you are a world champion, because you never know if it's ever going to happen again. So, and she did all of that. She had a great off season. I think she traveled the world 3 times over December, January, February, and dived straight back into racing. I think she maybe was a little bit too aggressive early and had a couple of little injury issues, but Leanda's tough. Yeah. She doesn't have a weakness. So she's a great swimmer. She's a very strong cyclist, and she's a good runner. So you can never really 100% count her out. Yeah, she's not looking as good as she did last year, I don't think, but she'll be there throughout the day, and she won't give up until she crosses that finish line.
When you win it in 2010, things change. Now you are the Ironman world champion, and people figure you're going to win every race you do, right? When you go into races in 2011, how tough is that to not let that beat you down? Because you know you're gearing up for the following October, and you're not going to win every race, and you don't really want to be that fit in March and April.
Yeah, no, that is really a really tough balance. I mean, when after I won, I went and did Ironman New Zealand in March, and I'd never felt so much pressure. And I shouldn't have felt pressure, because all I needed to do is go in and validate the spot. Yeah. But you're so proud of your performance, and you want to show people that I'm worthy. I'm a worthy champion.
Right.
And people just expect that it's easy. You go out there and you race it, and you're the world champion. You should be able to beat anybody with your eyes closed, and it absolutely isn't the case. Ironman's tough. You need to be fit, and you need to be ready to race for any Ironman event. You can't just sort of take it as a walk in the park. And yeah, I'm sure Leanda's felt that pressure throughout this year to try and go in and race, and the general public sort of just think you're going to win. In March or April, when you're looking to October to try and be at your peak fitness.
Exactly.
And it's not even just over the course of the year, but I think a lot of the athletes that are out there and really want this and really want to win this, and I'm sure they would take this, don't understand that it's a full-time job race week compared to what it was prior to winning, right? I mean, so Leanda this year is going through, and you know what this is like.
Yeah.
So it must be kind of nice for you to be able to sit back and have a little bit more of a life, even though you're you are a world champion. But the defending world champion has a full week of schedule. It's not like train, eat, massage, sleep, whatever. Yeah. It's media all day, all the time.
Yeah, not even race week. It's throughout the whole year. It's trips that you wouldn't necessarily plan to take if you want to prepare for this race properly. So, but again, you take every opportunity that's given to you when you're a world champion, and you know what? If you can't perform to that same level the next year, so be it. I mean, you really have to take it in when you actually do win. But who knows? I mean, as I said, she's a tough girl, and she'll be out there to try and win again, no doubt.
How is Thursday going to be? I think a lot of athletes look at the Thursday before Ironman as like, the day where everyone's going to get together at the pro meeting. You're all going to be sitting there looking at each other, and then you got to turn in the bikes on Friday, all that stuff. Do you feel those nerves? We've talked to athletes, like even past champions. Tim DeBoom put it really well. He just said, I can throw up right now just thinking about it, the day or two before. Do you get like that?
Yeah, last week I was actually reading Iron War, the Dave Scott and Mark Allen story. I had to put it down. They started to go through race day and like what they ate, and Dave went for a mile run and then had his breakfast and went to... I was like, I cannot read that. I put the book down. I'm like, seriously, I could throw up right now, or I could cry, or I don't know. I don't need those emotions pre-race, so I thought it'd be a great book to read.
Me up,
No, it's a bad idea. I'll read that after the race. It's too close to home.
That is great. Hey, Mirinda, thank you so much for taking time.
Thanks
Race
for having
week, Mr. Poncho Man Mirinda Carfrae has been our guest. We again are presented by Monster Ice Sport, the athlete's headphone. We're at Huggos, and we're live on triathlete.com. Mr. Poncho Man.
Come from the land down under. Women glow, women plunder. Can't you hear the thunder? You better run, you better take cover. Breakfast with Bob, Paul, and Mirinda.
How about our studio audience? Woo!